Hello everyone, welcome. It's good to have you. I'm just quickly setting up, so I'm going to be waiting for you to join me. I hope that you are well. I've got watercolors out, I have got some pencils out, and we're just going to have a really good time. So we are going to be coloring in Tales from the Forest Kingdom by Hannah Carlson. And thank you so much for coming onto the channel and voting for which book you wanted to color in next, and also which page you wanted to color in. And the page we are coloring in today is this one here, which received the most votes for. So I really do appreciate all of your help in deciding which page.
Most votes for?
Oops, sorry. Alright, there we go. So what I thought of doing is doing a watercolor background, and then we'll do skin tone, and we'll see how we're doing for time. So what I'm got my color inspiration from, I took off Instagram. I came across a different portrait in the same book on Instagram in one of the hashtags, and the person who colored that particular page used orange hair, dark greens, vibrant blue, so almost like a vibrant teal or a very light popping blue. So I quite like that. So I thought of using a similar colors. Unfortunately, I can't actually show you the picture I'm using for inspiration because I'm using my phone to do the live stream, and I took a screenshot of the picture on my phone. So I will have a think on how I can show you that. Maybe in one of the end of the month videos when we finish this one. Alright, so I'm using my Mei Ling watercolor paints, and I'm going to be mixing paints because this is my nope, that's upside down. That's my swatch chart. So I'm thinking of using the Payne's Grey and mixing it with the deep Hooker's Green to get a background kind of dark but also not very light, and I'm going to try and do a wet on wet technique. So come around where most of her or around her is going to be light, and then the edges will be dark, and I'm going to have to try to do this carefully. So size brush I'm probably going to use is the size brush. Hi Leslie, thanks for joining. It's good to have you. How was your day? Okay, so I'm just gonna come here now, and then I'm going to mix my paint. So I'm gonna get some of that Hooker's Green and then the Payne's Grey. But I'll mix it on here so you can see what I'm doing. And then we'll get to skin tone. So I'm going to try and do a cool skin tone, and then I'm going to try and do, yeah, that orange, that like, it's not quite orangey, but it's not quite auburn kind of hair. I think it will work really, really well. Okay, so I just had to look at my swatch chart and make sure I was getting the right color. So I'm putting in the water here at the Payne's Grey, and then I want the deep Hooker's Green, which is this one here. Oh, no, wrong one. See, that's Emerald Green, which actually I might mix it. I might do Emerald Green as well. I like it. It's got that vibrant color I saw in the picture I took inspiration from. Okay, so this is that deep Hooker's Green here. and I'm going to need quite a bit because I'd rather have too much than too little. Oh, I'm sorry you're struggling with fatigue today. That can't be easy. But I'm glad that you are sitting down and are able to have a nice chat. Do you get insomnia as well on top of having fatigue? So I'm going to pull some of this Payne's Grey out here. And then I'm going to put some of that emerald green here, because I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I like having it there as an option. Okay, I'm going to move this to the one side and I'm going to try to do a wet on wet. So, like so. Oh, that's helpful. I'm glad you don't have insomnia as well, because that would just be really hard. So then I just dab as much excess off on my paper towel. I'm going to use a different brush, and I'm going to come here and just wet as much of this as I can. And so I want to keep it just really on the edges. I don't want to necessarily cover the whole background. So this portion up here might have a lighter color. And some of the picture is probably going to get water paint on it, but anyway, not much we can do about that. I'm doing much better today, thank you. Over the weekend I struggled with like brain fog, and it was actually really frustrating me. Then my husband and I started thinking that maybe I'm just really tired, and I don't always get good sleep, not like I used to anyway. So I've had a few late nights, and then I would put the kids to bed, and because they're still young enough that they like mommy to lie with them, I'd doze off with them, and then I'd get my second wind by about 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I'm coming into my mixture now, and I'm just going to almost dab it in, then paint it on. So yeah, so we decided he would take care of the kids last night, and I went to bed early, and I think that was a better thing, because I woke up early and then I just forced myself back to sleep. So yeah, got rid of the brain fog, which is good. Yeah, it's not fun. I can sometimes get brain fog if I have gluten, and then I get stressed because I know what I'm trying to say or trying to do, and then I can't get my mouth to actually speak. So I find it very frustrating. I think if we do it this way and we build it up, so if we bring in some of that Payne's Grey, me just let it mix together. Get some more of that Payne's grey out here actually. Sleep is important. We underestimate the importance of sleep, I think. And then if there's too much in the crease, you could always take a paper towel and try and lift it up, risking paint on the other page. But I thought of putting washi tape as a border or a frame, but I thought, you know, if I put washi tape, I'm going to really cover a lot more of the paper than I'd like. So if I bring in some of this emerald green, which actually is a really lovely dark color. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the prayers. I know in spring, as spring gets closer and daylight savings kicks in, then what ends up happening, I start waking up really early, but I don't always go to bed early enough either. So I need to watch that as well as spring starts kicking in. I got my washi tape this time round from Hobbycraft, or just a local hobby store, and it's nothing fancy because my middle son, he likes to do diamond paintings whenever he's in the mood for it, obviously. And a friend of mine, I got her onto diamond painting. It's hilarious because I actually don't do diamond painting. It's not really my thing. I don't mind it, but I prefer drawing and coloring. Anyway, so I got her onto diamond painting, and then she showed me that you use washi tape on the sticky edges of your diamond picture, and it prevents your clothing from sticking to the picture and making the edges dirty. So I ran out of the spare washi tape I had, and I went to the Hobbycraft and got some more there. So it's nothing really fancy. If I was to get fancy washi tape, I would get off Etsy, because I think you can get really nice ones there. But I think the music washi tape I got last time I bought washi tape for a specific purpose was off Amazon. I've seen lots of people use washi tape for like borders, and on Instagram I actually saw somebody use washi tape to do clothing on a coloring picture. So they did all the clothing with washi tape and then colored the rest. It looked really, really cute. Oh yeah, yeah, I could understand that. My problem with diamond painting is it feels finicky, and I don't like finicky stuff. I mean, I do it like if the boys need help, I'll sit and help them. But and to be honest, I'd rather do diamond painting than do tapestry. As a kid, I did a bit of tapestry, but I don't do any sewing stuff. My mom tried. Bless her, she really did try with me, and she taught me cross stitch and embroidery. I did some tapestry, and I just got too bored with it all. I mean, an embroidery cloth where I did the corners, and then a panel on the side, just simple design. It took me 18 months to 2 years to finish. So my gran and my mom's passion for sewing just did not carry through down this generation. So I'm just wetting this to make a wet on wet and picking up some of that mixture of the Hooker's green and the Payne's grey. So I can lightly just bring this down here. And what we could do, yeah, quite like here where it's spread out. It doesn't always fan out the way I'd like. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. We'll leave it to dry. I don't want to fiddle too much with it and then it leads through on the other side, and then maybe later once it's dried we can always come back and add it up and put some more on. Hi Dawn, how are you? Leslie. I had to in grade, I think it was grade 10, we had economics, and the first 6 months was doing cooking and food, and then the other 6 months after that was sewing. So I ended up having to sew a skirt, a blouse, I think it was a skirt and a blouse. I had to put in pleats, and then from there I did a few other things. I just really found it such a faff and finicky, didn't enjoy it. And then later on, after we got married, my mother-in-law taught me how to make curtains, which was, I suppose, in some ways better suited than clothing. But yeah, I'm like, if I can buy it instead of sew it, I'll happily buy it. I'm glad you're doing well, Dawn. Okay, so now I'm going to start on her skin tone. I'm not sure I like these here, so I'm going to cover them up and put normal lashes on. So that's going to mean I'm going to need a Posca pen. So if I can get my Posca pen working, we can white out some of this. And I'm going to white out like all of this here, because it just makes the skin look a little bit smoother. And I'm going to go for a cool color palette for her skin. Now this is notorious for actually leaking, my Posca pen. If I don't get this working, I can always get out my white acrylic paint, which I think this is finished actually. So I went and I bought myself some white acrylic paint on a few of the basic colors, and then I tried painting gnomes in the neighborhood with acrylic paint, but because I didn't have a brown, I actually got really lost with it, so I ended up having to use paint pens to help. So I really just need a tiny little bit, and then I want to come and just wipe this out. But if you like it, then just leave it in. You don't have to go over it if you don't want to. I've only recently learned how to do this. And it does change the texture of the paper a little bit, so just be aware of that. I'm going to use Prismacolors to do the skin because I really like Prismacolors for skin. I just like the smoothness of it. Okay, then now as you can see, even though I'm whiting this out, you've still got the lines there, so it really just fades it. If you don't want the lines at all, you can just put a thicker layer of paint. But if you need the lines, because I still like to have the lines, then you just go a lighter portion. Again, this is optional, so because I don't actually like these curls here on the lips. I don't know what to do with them. So we just lighten all of this out. And then along here on her neck, just wipe that out. And we'll do the same on the nose. And this is also how you can transform a picture. If there's things in it that you don't like or you want to add in, you know, you can just take white acrylic paint and just take these lines away, and then you can color in your own. But if you need the lines because it helps you, then leave them in. And then I will do the same on the hair. Because it's out, I've got this paint out, I'm going to do some of the hair. So even like in here, if you don't like the eyebrows, you just white it out. So Posca pen would work, white acrylic paint works. I haven't tried watercolor paint. I think it would be too thin unless you have a very thick, you go quite thick. Okay, just over here again. I think some of the more artist type people, more experienced colorists, if you watch their YouTube channels, you can also see them using this technique as well. I remember up until last year, I never understood why people wanted to white out black lines. And then I started watching videos and I realized what they were doing. And then I came across a couple of artists on, or experienced colorists on Instagram, and I started to see how they would take a coloring page and change it and make it something that they wanted. And I realized that if they didn't white out the lines, they wouldn't actually be able to do that. But by whiting out the lines, they could. Now, what you could do here, so if you look at her face, and she's got this beautiful hair, if you want to give her longer hair, you wouldn't do the background first. You would white out all the lines, and then, so you could paint over the areas you don't want, and then you could draw in the hair, so you could actually give her long hair. I like this hairstyle, so I didn't want to change it, but we'll white all of this out now. And this is how you can, especially if you're using like blonde hair or in my case I'm going to try do a light orangey hair. I don't want to have black lines in the hair. I want to try and go for a bit more of a natural hair look. But you don't have to do that. You can just keep the lines in, and then depending on how you color the hair, you could then white out the lines that you want to white out when you're ready for it at the end of your picture. So I'm just going to show you this for now, and then I'm going to move on to the skin, because this is going to take a little while to do all of these lines, and I don't want to waste your time. So I'll show you the gist of it, and then if you choose to white the lines out, you can white them out. If you choose to keep them, then you've got that option. And then I will white mine out off camera. I'll just do a little bit here for you. And yes, the texture is going to be affected, but I'll make do with what I can. It will still look nice at the end though. You'll see it. It will look really lovely. You could even go over like all this here, her eyelashes. If you want to give her more eyelashes or change her eyelashes, you can white it out as well. And then if it dries and you think, oh, actually there's a bit too much, there's not enough white, then you just add a bit more. Yeah. It's I don't always do it. So if I do like black hair, which to be honest with you, my black hair always turns out a bit more gray. If I do brown hair, then I won't really worry too much about the black lines, because my hair color is going to be darker. But I do find with the lighter colors, I do prefer whiting them out. And even on the cheap printer type paper, you can white out. It just means, then I would use poly. So I'll probably use polychromos pencils to do hair, because it does give you much better detail, whereas Prismacolors still smush together. So I don't mind the blending of Prismacolors in skin tone. I find it works quite well, but I don't want that with hair or fur. So I'd rather use like polys, or you could even use the brute thinner, because they're oil based, and that will help keep those strands, and yeah, it just works better. But yeah, like I said, if you're not ready for that, then don't do it. You'll get ready for it when you're ready for it. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Okay, so that's the idea, and I will end up doing it on all of her hair, but I won't do it on the headpiece. So I'm going to move on now to the skin. And I'm going to use cream, light peach, light umber, sienna brown, and white. So you're going to put down as a base cream. Then your light peach is going to be your mid-tone, your light umber, and your sienna brown. So sienna brown will be for your mid-tones and your shadows. And then my light umber. And then on top of that, I also tend to use either a blush pink or a pink. So you might find I'll end up throwing colors in here and manipulate it as I go. But those are going to be the base sort of colors that we'll use. And then your white pencil, which will be to burnish it at the end. Alright, I'm going to zoom you in closer to her face. Okay, so we're going to use cream, and we're just going to put a base layer on. I'm just putting down a paper towel under my hand, just so that I'm not touching my fingers onto wet paint. So this layer you want to be quite light. I think we'll give her green eyes. Green and orange hair works really well. And then I thought with the berries we could give her like black grape color berries on her hair with like gold pins. So make these things here gold. Either gold or like a copper. I just have to work out the color palette for copper. So I tend to do more gold than I do any other metal. But I really want to push myself to try different types of colors and metals, and even try with like bronze, because even bronze would work. And then if we do the leaves a green, even if we do like an emerald green, it will complement her hair. So if it got too much paint, you can just scratch it off with your pencil. So here I want to cover over this because I'm not going to use these leaves in her. So I'm gonna blend them in. So wherever I haven't gone too thick, you can see the pencil's going down well. It's not really affecting anything. So the only area on her face I'm going to have to just be careful on is her nose, because it will have to bridge up here and then it will have to come sort of down like that. So to get the curve of her nose, I'm going to have to just be careful of. So also with her face, I've got to think about which angle is my light source going to be coming from. And that will help determine where I put my highlights. So I'm thinking if the light comes in from the left hand side, it's going to catch along here maybe this side of her nose, maybe slightly here on this cheek here, somewhere over here. So I've got to think a little bit about that, even as I lay a base layer. And if you think of the face naturally, this part here is going to cast a bit of a shadow onto this side of the face. So that's naturally going to be a bit darker, and this side could be potentially a bit lighter. But because of her hair, it's still, so your highlight on this part of the cheek is a bit in the middle there. This is where it is also helpful to have a photo reference. So what you can do is hop onto Pinterest or Instagram, whichever is your preferred media, and try and find a picture of a person with their face angled in a similar way, and then you could use that to help you with, you know, where do you put the shadows, where do you put the highlights, and that sort of thing. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with my light peach, and I'm going to use probably a light to medium pressure now. And I'm still going in that circular motion. So I find with the first few layers, I tend to be a lot lighter than I probably need to, but it's because I'm still mapping out my picture and where I want everything to go. So I tend to take my time and be cautious. So this is going to all cast a shadow onto her cheeks. So she's going to end up having a cheekbone around here. But because the way the light is going to catch her, so it's going to catch her around here. So I've got to think carefully about this lighting now. So if I come around here on her nose, okay. Now you could do it, I suppose, backwards and put the shadows in a little lightly first, so you could do that. But I'm going to have it that she's getting quite a lot of light on the side of her face. Then all this here will be in shadow. So she'll have a smaller highlight on this side of her face. And then that part here is slightly raised, so that might catch a little bit of light on that edge here. I stand to correction on all of my thoughts on highlights and shadows. It's just how my brain is working at the moment and the little bit of experience I've got with portraits. So if your experience is a bit better, then adjust the highlights and the shadows to suit your expertise or the idea you're using. Maybe you've got a reference photo. You have light coming through here, so possibly making most of this light. Okay, we'll deepen all of this up as we go. I want to build it up at least up to the light umber. So I'm going to take my light umber now, and again I'm going to use it lightly. And I'm just going to work the shadows in now. So I'm just lightly placing in these shadows. I want to make sure that they are light, and then I'm going to continue layering up. And this is where skin, it is a lot slower than the rest of the page. And I find it does require a little bit more concentration. And I'm still going to have to check that I'm getting her nose right. So I went and I got myself Ruby Charms Colors Creative Companion for 2023, and really pleased that I did that. I've got everything now in one book, and I thought it would be quite helpful to have all my color swatches for my pictures for 2023 all together. So I'm really feeling quite excited about that. So thank you, Leslie, for suggesting it to me. I really enjoyed the weekend being able to set it up and kind of go through it, and now I've got to plan for March and see what coloring videos do I want to put up, what's the plans for the channel for March. And also March is my birthday month, so I'm having a think through, like, you know, what can I do to celebrate my birthday. And so I'm thinking, like, I don't want to do a hashtag color along series because I don't know if I'll have the time for it, but maybe what I could do is do color alongs that are kind of themed along, you know, some of my favorite things. So maybe do like a cakes or party food type thing, maybe do a celebration where we color in glassware and food and drinks or something along those lines. So yeah, it's gonna be fun actually. Right, so I'm just thinking there's a lot of light coming through here, so it's probably not going to have a whole lot of shadows on this side. Okay, so I've got that as a bit of a guideline. I'm going to come back to my light peach and I'm going to try and just blend this out now. And I'm going to use a slightly harder pressure than before. But I'm not going to burnish it yet. I don't want to burnish this. And this is how you can layer up and blend at the same time. So I'm actually thinking that along here, this bit here, I need to erase this. And I think that will make her nose look a little bit more natural up here. So I have to play with her nose at the moment because I'm not feeling confident about how it's curving. And I want to make sure I get this nose, you know, I want to get it right. I want her to have a sensible nose. But it's not, she's not facing me straight on, so it's causing a bit of a brain befuddle here. So I'm not really sure about this right now. So bear with me as I try and just get her nose right. Because her nose looks too square. So now you're going to see me struggling to get her nose right. Because the thing is, you can't draw a nose. You have to shade it in. And the angle is what's really baffling me. I think it's slightly better. Okay, I'll leave it for now. Come back to it. The nice thing is, if I mess up the picture and you can see me messing it up, you can stop and wait for me to fix it and then keep your picture beautiful. I think that's one of the hard things with portraits though, is because there's so much of a portrait where you're having to work with the face, and the shadows is what creates those shapes. We can't actually draw them, so it really does lend itself to quite a challenge to build them up and look nice. But in a way, I actually like the challenge. So I mean, I can complain a lot about it and get frustrated, but that sense of accomplishment when you actually overcome and you get that, get it right, I actually really like that feeling. So she's going to have some shadow here. Okay, so let's come back in with the light peach and we just go over this now and see how it blends. Because sometimes it's not that, it could just be the darker part of the shadow is what's throwing me. So as you work with it, you get to see, oh, okay, it's all right, or I need a bit more of this, a little bit less of that. I've had it before where I've done portraits and I've left too much white space, and then as I work with it and I realize actually it's a bit too white, so let me pull up some of the color, then it starts to actually make sense. So you really do want to work with it and just be patient with the skin as you're building it up, because you will get to where you want. It just takes time. Skin is, to do skin well, you need to give it time. In some ways I find the bigger portraits easier to do than the smaller ones, because you've got more space to really work with it and do that shaping. So do you do portraits often? You still learning portraits? Where are you at with coloring portraits? So we still haven't put in our darkest color yet. We're just working on midtones really, and very basic shadows, but we still need to build up those shadowed areas. And then if you get any pieces that just sort of, you just brush them off so you don't catch them and then it drives into the paper and starts to damage it. So this, just doing the skin on its own could take the whole live stream. Just because doing it well. So see here, I've got all these bits here. If I sweep them off, at least I won't catch them on my pencil. And even the chin, it's really got to do a lot with the angle of the face and the light. And then of course we've got to put a little bit of blush on her face. But we don't have to do a lot. I will do my best to keep the skin tone really simple, and not overdo it with different colors and all of that, because I want to show you that skin tone is it's nothing to really be intimidated by. It can be tricky, like you saw with, I was struggling a little bit with the nose, and I'm not 100% sure that I've got her nose right, but at the same time there is a level of simplicity that can be found in coloring portraits. And skin tone, if you just get the right color combination, it's really simple. I color faces better than I draw them. I can't draw faces to save my life. I much prefer coloring them in. But also, like, if you find that faces aren't for you, that's also okay. It's not everyone's strong suit. But I do want to show you that it's simple and manageable. Okay, so then if we come to her neck, because we're doing it at the same time, so we can just deepen this up here. So along here on this part of the nose, if you go look in the mirror, you have your nose and then you have this bit underneath. There's normally a highlight on each side and then the shadowed area, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So just to let you know why I was doing that. And then obviously, as I've mentioned in previous lives, just deepening your shadows and contrasting with your highlights will help also to draw the eye to your picture and really cause things to stand out. So, you know, the more layers you put on, the richer your colors are going to be, and that's going to also help you draw attention to your portrait. Now with this picture, because she's the only image, we don't really need to worry about backgrounds or anything like that. We want to just give her our best work. And even if you're going at a light brush, you still want enough color that if you burnish it in this area here, you've got some colors or pigments to move around. So I'm just going back over all my shadowed areas. Still not 100% happy with her nose, but anyway, I don't think it's too bad. I mean, it could be a hang of a lot worse. And what you want to do is always color along the shape of the face. So follow the contours of the face. And sometimes I end up adding midtones to what I thought were highlights, because as I'm building up the face, I realize actually it doesn't make sense at this point in time to have that highlight, so let me remove it, or maybe it's too much of a highlight. Okay, so now as you can see, this skin is looking great, but it's still looking quite bleak. It needs some richness to it, and that's where that sienna brown is going to come in. We're going to use it to just add some richness to the shadowed areas and the mid-tone areas. And if you've got, like here, I might have a bit too much of the light peach and not enough of the cream, I can always erase it. So now if I bring in my sienna brown, so here I want to use a medium pressure, so you really can layer it in. Do you put makeup on your portraits? Let me know. I'd love to know if you put makeup on yours. I tend to not put makeup on just because I don't actually wear makeup much in my personal life. But I'm also not 100% sure how to do the makeup so that it doesn't look funny. I want, if I'm gonna give her makeup, I want her to look pretty. So I always feel uncertain of makeup. So we just continue building up the layers. Sorry, I am rather quiet because I'm actually focusing. I find talking and coloring something like this a bit challenging. So I do apologize if I'm not speaking enough. I will try and think of something. So on Wednesday, we're going to one of the science centers in our area with some friends on like a school field trip. And then last week we went out to one of the national gardens. It was so nice to see the primroses. I did see some primroses, but I mainly saw crocuses and snowdrops. So I was really happy about that. And then on the weekend, we actually had a barbecue because the weather was so lovely. I mean, I still sat outside with a blanket on. My mom made me a lovely lap quilt. So I sat outside with that and really, really enjoyed it. So we decided, no, we needed to have a barbecue. First barbecue of the year. So that was a lovely treat. I hear you, Leslie. It's challenging to color and talk. I really admire the people who can actually do it. Alright, I've got light umber now, and I'm just going to just come in and just try blend out some of this brown a little bit. So she's going to end up having a lot of light on her. So you want to come in along this lid here as well, because that's got to be a lighter color. And if you look in the mirror again, the eyelid, it does cast a very little shadow on the rest of the face. So that's what you do want to try and create as well. I think that's going too straight. Alright, let me try. See, I'm still trying to fix this. I'm not sure it needs to go all the way up there. If I take light peach now and I try and blend this out. See, that's not right yet. Trying to fix it so it's got the right shape, but also it doesn't go unnecessarily thick either. I will come right. This is going to work. At some point I'm going to get it right. Just got to keep working with it. It might be that I'm Alright, just bear with me. I'm really struggling with this nose, but I'm going to get it right. I'm very determined to get it right. I have a feeling that I was using too much of the brown. So just bear with me. I don't know what's better, watching someone struggle with something and get it right, or watching them get it right and actually know what they're doing. Like, which one is better? See, I think that is a little bit better. And maybe come down this bit here. I am determined to get this right. Sometimes you have to wrestle with something to get it right. See, that, I don't know, I think that looks a little bit better. Do that and just smoothen it out. Because now that's showing that she's got more of a nose, but now here, I think if we bring this in like this and just redo that, So here, this is the problem when you get stuck on a certain profile of a face. If you get used to it one way, then to learn how to do it again in a different angle, it really does prove quite challenging. But I think that looks a little bit more natural now. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm actually looking at the page on my laptop screen where it's streaming live, so I can actually get a feel for how this is looking. So it's all got to do with angles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer up the cream again, the light peach, and I'm just going to layer this up now, but I'm going to press a little bit harder, so just build up that richness. Because I think most of her face is actually done. So I'm going to come in again a bit more with the cream. I'm not going to necessarily go over the whole face, just these areas where I've had the light peach come in. I just want to add a bit more. Because we're going to actually end up burnishing this very soon, but we want to have enough pigment in here that we can actually work with it. Now if you end up putting too much yellow, don't worry, you can always knock it back with lavender grey. So it's still manageable, it's still workable. Okay, so then I take in my light peach. Because your white pencil is going to knock this color back. So if you don't have enough pigment in, it will look too pale, and then you'll need to add in more color. So if we put in a bit more of the sienna brown, So I'll finish her neck here and then we'll move on to her face. So then you take a white pencil, just make sure it's all clean, and you start in your lightest area, and here you press hard. And it's just going to blend it all in, and it's going to look really, really lovely. And if you don't want to give her blush because you would rather have a more natural look, that's also okay. So I might go over 2 hours just so we can do her eyes and her lips as well. And I'll try and finish her whole face with you. Okay, so then if we come here with her with the light peach, it's a bit tricky to put her cheeks on because we've got this coming and it's kind of touching where her cheekbone would be. Hi Emily's Colouring Corner, how are you? It's good to have you with us. So I want a little bit here, not too much. I just want a slight shadow there, not a whole lot. You really want to try and just work at it to get a nice smooth transition from each section of your face, from dark to light. Okay, so then you take your white pencil and we'll add some blush to her face when we're done. just hope she's not too fair. And that's the other thing, is like making sure that you balance the skin. So if you're going for a very light skinned person, they're not gonna have that, they still need to have a richness in their skin, even though it's fair. And I think coloring the different skin pigments can be quite a challenge when you want to create that vibrancy in the skin, but you also don't want the skin to be too dark. But also remember that as you color and you add the hair and the eyes, the eyebrows, it's all going to tone down everything. So even if the skin feels very vibrant, wait until you finish the hair, the eyes and the lips to see if it really does need adjusting, because sometimes it just needs the hair and the eyes to kind of look like it's right. And if it knocks back the color and it's too light, we can always add it in again. Now I purposefully went for a lot of highlight on her face because I'm trying to show that the light is coming from the left hand side. And I'm still learning how to show that. So we'll just be kind to ourselves, and we do the best with what we've got and what we know today, and then when we've learnt a bit more, we'll do the best then with what we know. Right, okay, I'm going to leave her for now, and we can tweak her a little bit later on. So those are the colors I've used. If we come in with some pink rose, we can try and add a little bit of blush cheeks here. And a bit of white just to knock this back and kind of blend it out a little. If you want it slightly darker, you can use a pink. And then you could always go over that with your blush pink or your pink rose. And just helps to blend it out. So you can add a touch of pink there. Okay, so we're going to give her green eyes. We're going to try go for that more emerald green kind of look. So I'm going to get my Peacock green. I'm going to use I think this is light aqua. It's a PC920 and possibly a dark indigo. Alright, so first I'm going to put down my PC920, which I think is a light aqua. And then I'm going to come in with my Peacock green. Then you can just blend that out a bit with your light aqua. You want to keep some of it quite light so that it has a like that light area in the eye. Then your dark indigo. Here to just help cast a shadow. If you look at your own eye, the round outer part of the colored bit is a lot darker. You've got like this dark ring around your eye. So that's where I'm putting the indigo. And then up here in the shadow. And you can do little lines like that to kind of show the color going in. And then I would also get a black pencil and do this top lid here. So I whited it out, so I need to draw it back in. And that eyelid is going to bring a bit of a shadow down as well. And then you can go into the circle or the iris. Just darken that up. Now I would put in a bit more peacock green. And then you can also have a very sharp white pencil. Make sure the tip is clean. And you can bring some of that lighter bits out. So you can create like those flecked highlights. Then for her eyes, or the whites of her eyes, we can take a 50% cool grey PC1063 And you want to come here and create a shadow. Along here. Okay, then you want a little bit of pink in here, but just a touch. You don't want too much. Otherwise she's going to look like she's got pink eye. Okay, and then you can take like a henna, PC1031, in here. Just a little bit. Then you take your white pencil and you start to blend it out. And just make sure your tip is really clean. And then you can always just, oops, wrong color, black. Add, just redraw it in. Then your white here. And you can always just deepen the shadow up here a little bit more. Okay, so that's her eyes. Now if we take our black pencil, we can do her eyelashes. You don't want to necessarily keep her eyelashes all the same direction, because our eyelashes kind of crisscross over each other. And you can just kind of draw in her eyelashes. And try to do a flicking motion so that you don't have, how do I say it? You don't have straight lines. They need to kind of fade at the tip. So using a dark brown, just come in here and do her nostrils. Okay, you can also use a black pencil. Okay, so as you can see, I've still got the drawings of these decorative things that Henna Carlson drew in, but they're a bit more in the background. So now if I take my blush pink, sorry, not my pink rose, and we're going to work on her lips. And we're going to bring in some henna, PC1031. And we can add some sienna brown. So we don't want to give her pink lips. I'm trying to give her natural lips. So I don't mind if she ends up with a bit more of a reddish brown lip than a pink one. And then here I want to use her dark brown, PC946. And again, I'm going to bring in my pink rose. So I'm going to get some Crimson Lake. So I just want this brightened up a little bit more. And then some more of the henna. So just working on giving her nice natural lips. I'll take my black pencil and my sienna brown. And then I want to really light pink, so I might use my Deco pink. And then you can take a white gel pen And you can do some white highlights. Right, so already her face is looking not too shabby. It's looking quite okay. I think what I'm going to do is bring in some more sienna brown here into her face, because it's the shadows on her face are looking a bit sparse or very light. So I just want to just gently bring this in a bit more. I just need this color just to brighten her up so she doesn't look too pale. Because even though I want her fair, I'd still want to have a vibrancy to her skin. So you'll find some of the places where I put the white acrylic paint isn't taking the pigment from the pencil, but it's not too bad. It's still manageable. And then if I take a light peach here and just blend this out here. And back to my sienna brown. just going to bring in a bit more light umber here. And then some more light peach. And then some more light umber here. And then I've just blended out with the light peach. Okay, so that's her face done. I'm going to show you how to do some of these berries, because then I can do some off camera as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, these leaves are going to be green, and then here these spirals will be like brass, and then the berries will be a black grape. So we're going to take black grape, grade lavender, and we'll bring in some indigo blue as well, and I've got black. So if I take my grade lavender, oh, hang on, let me do it on these ones here so you can see. So I'm just going to do a few of them, and then I'll show you how to do the leaves. I've got a specific color palette in mind for the leaves, which I think will work really, really well. Okay, so then we take our dark indigo, okay, so remembering our light is coming from the right hand side, so you've got to just flip it in your head. So it's I often do things from the left hand side. So I'm practicing light source with this page, and light source is not it's not a very strong suit of mine. I have to consciously practice it. So if your light source understanding is better than what you're seeing me do, just adjust your shadows and your lights accordingly. So this is the black grape. I love black grape. Oh, thanks, Leslie. Appreciate that. Okay, so then I'm going to come back in with my dark indigo because I want to give it like a bluey purple hue. I mean, at this point you could even change it to a blueberry, in which case you just add maybe a cerulean blue to it, or a denim blue, and that would look really, really well. I did a lovely berry page in Rita Berman's Land Under the Magnifying Glass, but I forgot to write down the color combo. So I'm so like disappointed with myself, because I should have done the color combo, and it just works. That I really, really liked it. So I'm hoping with having this creative companion, I'll be able to keep track a bit better of my color combos. So this is the grade lavender. So I've noticed some coloring channels will actually do videos where they share their color combos and all of that. Is that something that interests you? Or do you prefer to find your own color combos? Okay, so I'm going to come back in with my purple, my black grape. And now I'm going to use a medium pressure. And I'm just going to work on layering up these. Well, I'm just going to work on building up the color now. You could even turn these into pearls if you wanted to. You can make colored pearls. They don't have to necessarily be berries. Because they in a foresty themed book, I'm kind of going with berries, but you could very easily turn these into a bead or a pearl. And again, I'm coming back in with my dark indigo now. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That was black. I meant dark indigo. Oh my goodness. Because I like this purple coming out of the blue coming out of the dark purple, and then blend it in with that grade lavender. I think it works really nice. Oh, what's your favorite color combo, Leslie? Alright, so I'm bringing in my black just here in the deeper shadows. I think it's Miss Martley Coloring, or Miss Martley. She does a lot of color combos. And there's another YouTube channel where she keeps record of all her color combos and then does, I don't know if it's a monthly video, but she does do a video from time to time with all her latest color combos. Okay, so now I'm going to take my grade lavender and just try and blend this out. So you could even take a white pencil if you wanted to and just add in some white highlights. Or you could take a Sakura jelly roll. So if I took my Sakura jelly roll, I could do a highlight in here. So those Posca pens of mine I've had for about 2 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're a bit used up. I think when I replace them, I'll try and get a Posca pen with a smaller nib. So I did find that one a bit big for fine details. So something like that. And then for so for the leaves, I will use PC908, which is a dark green, and I'm going to use a white pencil. And I really like this color combo. It's very simple, but it works so well. Just make sure I've got the right one. See, I don't want a grass green, I want the dark green. I keep jars of pencils next to me. Yeah, so I've got the right one. So I've got 909 and 908, and they're both small. But I'm always, every now and then I pick up 909. So I want to make sure I pick up 908, which is the dark green. And then I'll probably use a 90% cool grey or a warm grey, and use that for shadows. I'm just trying to get a feel for the leaf. So if I get a 90% cool grey, I need to buy a new one. Mine is so little. Look, check how little this is. I mean, it's not even going to stay in my pencil extender for long. So I really do need to get a new one. So I just want a little bit of this, just to add some shadow in here. Okay, so then I'm going to go over that again with the dark green. Yeah, Leslie, I also pick colors based on how I want something to look at. Although I have found it handy to have like a favorite color combo for gold, for instance, or certain things. I find I get a little lost with green combos, especially when it comes to leaves. So I'm finding that I'm starting to have specific combinations I want for certain things now. Okay, so then what I end up doing is I take my white pencil and I start pulling that green in. And I just really love how this works. But you have to have enough pigment on the paper to be able to pull it and kind of dilute the green. So then if I come back here with my dark green, like over here needs a bit more. Sorry, I can't keep my hand out of the way because my pencil's so short. And then I blend it out like that. And I just love how this works. So I'm just alternating dark green and my white pencil. So that's how I would do these leaves. So I'll do another one and then I will say goodnight. If I pick, I don't know, this one here. So this one will be black in there. And then I don't remember how I found this color combo. I think I was watching Coloring with Elena and in one of her Layla Dooley Flower Year color alongs, and she used it on one of the leaves. And I just thought it worked so well. It was really effective. So since then, I have loved having opportunities to use it because the simplicity of it is really phenomenal. And yet it's so striking. And then in the Rita Berman under the magnifying glass book, I colored the berries in. I had a similar combination, and I did I think it was blueberries with this green leaves, and it worked so well that I actually wanted another opportunity to use it. So when I saw the a color idea on Instagram for this page, it was a great opportunity to practice this color combo again. Even if the berries aren't the exact combination I used in the other book, in the Zulandi book, at least the idea is similar. So I'm using black to just do up the shadows. Or you could actually use a 90% cool grey. Whether it's black or 90% cool grey doesn't really matter. You just want to deepen up the shadows. And then the other thing you can do is just remember, whether it's black or grey, just go over it with your green and it will just blend it in and make it look natural. I need to check my spares if I have a spare one of these dark green pencils. If not, I must just order some online. Okay, and then you take the white pencil. Yes, Elena is absolutely amazing to watch. I find with her videos that I don't sit and color along with her, but I'll get an idea of something I want to color, and I generally will check to see if she's got a video for it, and then I'll just watch her approach. I know the one day I was looking for specific color combos for leaves, so I know she does a lot of leaves and she enjoys botanical items as well. So yeah, I do enjoy her. I found that's how I like to learn how to color, is just have something I want to learn how to do, go online and see if I can find somebody who's done it, and then just learn from them, see how they did it. It works quite well. Okay, so there you go. That's the idea. So that's the idea for the berries and the leaves. I'm going to do all the leaves and the berries on the headdress the same, and on the bottom, on the collar, I'm going to do the leaves and the berries here the same color. The only part I'm going to not do the same would be the flower. I have to think about the flower and the leaves, these leaves here. So I'll leave those out, but I'll do this leaf and this part of the collar, that green, and then this part here I'll do with you in the next live video, and we'll do the hair. So fingers crossed, hopefully we can have it done next Monday, and that will be another beautiful picture to add to our whips and a completed pages video. So alright, I think I'm going to call it for tonight. I really appreciate you all watching and joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed the color along, and yeah, at least her nose has turned out relatively okay. I mean, it's a bit better than it was. So yeah, I will see you all in another video. I have got videos I am busy editing, so I've got a whole series coming up soon in Christine Caron's Fairy and Fantasy 2 book. I've completed the page, so I'm busy editing the videos for that. So that's going to come up on the channel hopefully within the week. And then I've got another series of videos that I need to edit and upload. So in the next month or so, you'll have 2 portrait type pictures to color along with, if that interests you. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon. I appreciate your time and your chatting to me, and have a great rest of your week. Bye everyone, and happy coloring.